Hey everybody, welcome back to When Harry Met Board Games. I am Harry.
And I am Lily.
This is where we feed our people with relatable content, and our victory condition is your satisfaction. Today we are going to be having the first ever edition of a new series that we're going to be doing on this channel from time to time, and it's called Board Games of the Bride. So here we're going to be focusing on Lily and her experiences and preferences and tastes as a gamer, or as the wife of a gamer who also happens to be a gamer. So so basically we're going to talk about some of the games that we've been playing lately, in particular new games to Lily. Some of these are new to me as well, but they may or may not be. We're also going to be talking about upcoming games that Lily will be learning sometime in the foreseeable future. And then finally, we're going to wrap up the show talking about potential future purchases, games that are on my wish list. And we're going to see how Lily feels about them, if she gives them a thumbs up or a thumbs down. All right. Are we ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
Right.
Are you ready? Are you ready?
All right.
Well, if you're ready, without any further ado, let's start talking about the recent games, Lily.
All right, so if you've been following our Instagram or our YouTube feed, I think one of the very first videos we filmed was about the all the board games that we had in our list for 2020.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was like video 1 or 2.
Yeah, it was one of the first videos.
Hair Day that day. Totally overlooked that. But look at the amount of games. We had like 30-something games in our feed. So some of those games are the ones that we've been playing lately, taking a full advantage of this quarantine, which really has not changed our life at all, because I'm still going out, and now the kids are here all the time.
That hasn't changed our life at all.
It's changed Harry's life. So we've been trying to fit in all these new games, mostly after the kiddos go to sleep, and some Sundays.
And
this is one of the new ones that Harry just introduced me to, and we just started playing recently. Point Salad. Definitely a keeper, I would like to say. It's a 2 to 6 player game, card game. It's a filler, as Harry would like to say, but I like it, even just for the fun of it. It's a pretty quick game, and you usually do 2 out of, or right, best out of 3.
Yeah,
best out of 3 wins, and essentially you lay it out and you collect different points according to the amount of different vegetables that the cards tell you what to collect and give you points on. So it's pretty self-explanatory, very easy to learn. You don't have to be a gamer. It's one of those gateway games that will get you into it. Kind of like Mamma Mia, but better. So,
okay.
Really like Point Salad. If you want to become a vegetarian, if you want to eat a salad, you can eat it and play Point Salad. Insert corny joke.
All right, well, let's move on to
So
the next game.
That has been a new one. And another new one as of a couple weeks ago. Yeah, like these are all
very new.
These are all like April, May.
March, April.
March, April, May. Are San Juan. San Juan is the son of Puerto Rico. So essentially, if you play Puerto Rico, it's a tile placing game, not worker placement, but tile and card placing.
Yeah, you're placing cards. It's just cards.
Placing cards, but also like you have to collect tiles. Anyway, it has a three-dimensional shape to it, and it has a colonist, and it's.
Oh, Puerto Rico, you mean?
Yeah, Puerto Rico.
Okay,
so Puerto Rico is very full experience with all your senses involved. Long game, really good game. We really love it here. But this is like the easier version, and also it gives it, because there are so many cards, and essentially your cards are your currency, and then you're also building your buildings with your cards, and your cards are your buildings, and then you're producing resources with your cards, and your cards are your resources.
Yes.
And it's like your cards double as everything.
Mm-hmm.
So there are no 2 games that are the same or even similar. So it's a really great game that's replayable. Longer game, I'd say. Like an hour game. So definitely a 2.
It's probably an hour if 3 or 4 people play, but at 2 people, it's nowhere near an hour. Maybe 40 minutes most.
2 to 4 players. 2 to 4 player games. Really like it. So we've been playing it lately. and I really like that they've put more effort into what the cards look like. And
yeah, the buildings have actual artwork here, as opposed to Puerto Rico.
Evidently, when they first came out with Puerto Rico, they did not have enough budget for graphic design.
I don't know.
But we still forgive them because it's a really great game.
It is.
San Juan.
San Juan. Yes. All right. Awesome.
San
Awesome.
Juan.
All right. Well, let's talk about game number 3.
Game number 3. Following with our shelf of shame.
That's our shelf of shame.
Our shelf of views.
You don't want to see it. Maybe you do. If you do, check my video. I have a shelf of shame video. If you want to check it out, just look for that one.
So this is not on the shelf of shame, but it is on the shelf. This is the best of both worlds. Whenever Rainer Knizia, I guess, got a license from the guy Klaus-Jürgen Grede.
Yeah, Klaus-Jürgen Grede.
I really am butchering your name. I'm so sorry.
And what's the name of this one?
And this is called the Carcassonne Remake, The Castle.
Carcassonne the Castle.
Carcassonne, if for all of you, I'm sure if you're watching our show, you have to know what Carcassonne is. But for some of you who may just be coming by.
If you don't, get out.
If you don't, no.
Get out and research about Carcassonne.
If you don't, go buy it.
Go buy it.
So Carcassonne is one of those games. It's like a Zen game. It's a gateway game. You're essentially just placing tiles together, making a big puzzle. No two games are alike because essentially you could just the surface of your area is what you're playing with. Well, this is it throws a little bit of a different feeling for it because it gives you a predefined area, essentially like a city walls, and then you have to build your Carcassonne puzzle inside that. And then it has different ways that you can score points instead of like you score by the amount of wells that are in the road, and you score by the houses and the towers and the this and the that. So whatever, if you play Carcassonne prior, you've known and you know that each Carcassonne has its own little theme, but this one takes it home because it's totally different from all the other Carcassones.
Absolutely.
In that you have to work with your pre-confined areas.
Yes.
And you'll never feel it. In fact, you'll probably always have like 13 spots.
Well, yeah, no. It's automatic that there'll be at least 16 empty spots. 16 empty Potentially spots. More if you get stuck, but yeah.
But then you score at the end for those 16 spots. So
one player does.
One player, whoever has the most of houses.
Lily scores
me,
for that.
Me. One player, me, will score the 16 points at the end and we'll win the game 2 times in a row. So
we're just throwing out stats.
Carcassonne, the castle, a keeper.
Yes, absolutely. What do you think about the score track and how when you score, when you land on a specific spot, you actually get these bonus tiles?
I haven't really gotten many of them.
Okay.
You've been getting the bonus tiles, but evidently that is not how you win. So
it's neat though, the idea that if you map out, like maybe let's say instead of scoring 6 points this turn, you're like, you know what, I'm gonna score 4 instead because if I land right there, boom.
Word to the wise, score as many as you can. Don't do this over the tile that you don't know what's under because it may not be worth it. It may be 5 points at the end of the game. It may just be nothing. So
nothing's worth nothing.
Score as much as you can. Forget about the tiles. There are little tiles at every X amount of spots that you could potentially get you other things. Who cares? Score points. That's what the game is all about.
It's a good one. Good one. All right. We move on to game number 4.
Game number 4. Okay. Another castle. This time is not the Carcassonne castle. It's the castle of Burgundy. Moving on to France. Burgundy is a place in France.
I think it's in France.
We are so
correct us if we're wrong.
Geographically worded. So sorry. We need to travel more. Hopefully, after the COVID-19 pandemic passes, we may visit Europe. Maybe not. All right, so it's a very, very heavy game. I think this is the heavier. Well, this one and the one that's coming up is one of the heavier games that we've had.
It's one of the heavier games that we've played recently. Yeah. It's the second heaviest. Absolutely, the ones we played recently. But we played games heavier than this.
Kind of hard to teach me a heavy game after a full day of work.
Yes, I taught Lily this on a Monday, I think. No, I taught you on a Sunday. But then we played again on a Tuesday, which was by her own request. Lily hardly ever asked to play the same game twice in 1 week when she's learning. She'll ask a game that we've played over and over again. But a new game, you did lose twice. You want to throw out stats? I throw out stats twice, baby. The point is, she hardly ever asks to play a game twice. Whether she wins or loses, she's like, a new game? Oh, okay, we'll play. But she has to play this twice within a 3-day span, which tells you a lot about this game.
Whether it was because of me or because it was so late at night that I lost.
And what did you find out?
It was because of both. Okay?
Okay. So tell us, how do you feel about the game?
Anyways, moving on. So after the kids go to bed, it's like 9:30 p.m. So then get into a 2-hour game, you get my drift. That's right.
An hour and a half, maybe. It's a long game. It's long.
It's a big time in bed. It's like watching a movie.
Yeah.
That you know how it's going to end.
Yeah, I would say, you know how it's going to end. It's longer than it is heavy. Like, mechanically, it's not too heavy, but yes, it lasts a long time.
But it is beautiful, and for that, I give it a good solid 8. Because honestly, you'll never go bored. Essentially, the tiles will always be switching around a bit, right?
Yeah, well, there's different cities, there's different animals you can get, different knowledge tiles you can get. So yeah, what you're going to end up placing on your board will change from game to game. What's available will always be the same, but what you're going to end up placing on your board will change from game to game.
Different thing. It looks like a beehive from from afar, but essentially you're trying to collect tiles. You're trying to see if you can increase the amount of animals, and as soon as you finish one little section of one color, you'll score for the maximum amount of animals, like type of animals, like pigs. If you have mostly pigs, then you'll score for the amount of pigs in the tiles. In addition
the
to
ones that you previously
bonuses
scored.
for closing that area before your opponent. You can also buy different things. You can sell merchandise. It kind of feels like they try to do a little bit too much at the same time.
Well, this is from designer Stefan Feld. We've played a few games of his before, and Stefan Feld is notorious for what the first game we played today, the pun of it, for point salad games, where he puts a lot of different ways for you to score points. And some people enjoy that about his designs, that there's a lot of ways to score, and some people feel like it's overkill.
Some people just want to know how to win. What's the quickest way to win?
It's always going to be different.
So when you're encountering a myriad of options at 11 p.m., how the heck are you going to make up your mind, you know? So I'm not blaming the game for losing. I'm blaming the time and the combination of factors. But the point of the matter is,
what do you like about this game? Tell us what you like about it.
I like that the sections, if you score, like if you complete a section of each color, you get a bonus point. But there are some sections that have 5 little spots. There are some sections that only have 1 little spot. So you're gonna have to like try to like race to be the first one to complete different things. But then it's a thing of the dice, because then you throw the dice and you can only put you can only put the tiles next to the dice that you have the number of. So it's a purely luck game.
I would disagree, because we have the workers that you can draft, and the workers can mitigate the dice rolls. Listen, so it's not purely luck. There is a lot of luck.
Like once or twice more this year.
Okay. She's already setting a limit on me. Yeah.
Out of the kindness of my heart.
Okay, so in other words, she didn't like the game too much. Okay.
I'm not gonna come out and say it.
That's enough. We accept it. We accept it. All right, let's move on to the 5th game that we'll be talking about. The 5th and final new game that we'll be talking about. That's heavy, and that's without any expansions. This game doesn't come with any.
Ooh, hey, you did it again. Like Britney Spears. Oops. Uwe Rosenberg, Aura and Labora. Just finished playing it recently.
Yes, just a few minutes ago, actually.
Really liked it, I have to say. It has all the combinations of factors of a bunch of other games. So it does, if you saw my video at some point recently, we talked about, what's it called? Le Havre, Inland Port.
Yes, we did a top 10 Uwe Rosenberg video, by the way. Check that out.
Which this one we didn't make it because we hadn't played it yet. Yeah. But this has the same dial of Le Havre, Inland Port, which if you saw that video, I did not like Le Havre, Inland Port, because I just felt like it was too different from Le Havre. But I feel like it works well with Ora and Labora because this is a different game.
Yeah.
So they're not trying to sell me this thing, telling me that it's Le Havre 2 or 3, right?
Okay.
Like it's a totally different game. So just want to throw it out there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you're gonna like make a game that's totally different, just give it a different name.
Good point. Good point.
Call it a day, right? So a lot of cards involved, which I'm sure makes it for a good replayability because you'll never have the same, probably, right? The same game.
Well, the cards are always going to be available from game to game. Actually, you might not get the same ones, but they will be available. The difference that this game has is that the cards are two-sided. One side to represent the French game, and the other side to represent the Irish game. So that's where the variety will come. And even so, some people have complained that it's not enough variety because a lot of his games have expansions and this one doesn't. But that's because it doesn't, because I guess it didn't sell well enough and it went out of print and has been out of print for most of his existence, unfortunately.
Wow. Well, I mean,
but it's a great game. Lots of people like it. It has a cult following. It's ranked really high.
I didn't really get the theme though, like Ora and Labora. I guess it's like a priest or a
you're monks at a monastery or
a prior there.
Yeah.
I don't feel like it really makes a difference. It's just the workers that go to the field.
yeah.
Whether or not they have a little hat that make them prior or not makes no difference.
Feels a little bit less thematic than a Agricola.
It's usually like way less thematic. But I do like it because you can hire out workers from your opponent's vineyard or whatever and like screw him during your turn to make sure that there's that there's less options available. So that, like you have a board with your own cards and own places that you've collected, and they give you like actions and they let you convert. Like it has the same conversion thing, like clay converts to whatever, and this converts to that, and this makes you have more of this, and like some amazing cards, some other crappier cards. It has also adjacent rules. So if you have a card next to another card or a bunch of different cards, at the end of the game, they'll score for all the other cards adjacent. Like maybe 3 or 4 times in a game, you can buy settlements.
4 times, yeah.
So you have to make sure you save a lot of money and energy towards this. So it has like the energy component of Le Havre and the food component, I guess, of Le Havre as well. Of Agricola. So you have to make sure, because that's your one opportunity to get a settlement. That's what's going to score you for all the adjacent stuff. If you don't have enough to buy the bigger or the better settlements, then you're going to be losing. I will be happy to report that I did win. In spite of it being my first time. Because you obviously
needed to know this information.
I know, but I have like fans out there that really needed to know this.
They count on you.
They really do, to beat Harry. I know how it is. I mean, come on, it's fine. So, in spite of me scoring 40, what?
I think you scored like 43 points on your last turn.
43 points on my last turn, people. If that's not skill, I don't know what you call that. Okay, I only won by 5 points.
Tells you a lot about me.
5 points. So
as an opponent,
you can say that the game can turn quickly.
Yeah, absolutely.
The game can turn quickly because I definitely was in that losing streak before that last turn, and it was pure luck. Like Le Havre, it's an uneven or odd number, right? So like whoever goes first.
Oh no! Not necessarily. Not the way we played, but there are ways of playing it that can be uneven, but not the way we played it. I had the last turn,
which gave me a huge advantage.
Yeah, but we both went the same amount of times. But yeah, you did get to capitalize on that last turn. I got to capitalize on my last turn because I had like the turn right before the game ended, and I knew exactly like what I needed at that point. We did play a little bit of a modified variant because the way that the official rules say to end the game is when there's only one building left. But that would have lasted a few more turns for us. But since it was our first time playing, we didn't play that way. So that could have changed how many turns we would have had. But yeah, great game.
Great game. I really, I will let you in on a secret. I hate learning games. Like, hate it. Like the process of like listening to rules to me, it's like, kill me now. Just put me out of my misery.
This is what I have to put up with.
I'm sorry. Like I am like totally Matrix. If you could just download the schematics into my brain, I will be totally fine to play it. So poor Harry has to like go through the rules, highlight whatever he needs to like, concise it, break it down, and make it small, so I can learn it, so I can win. At late at night hours, right? For Harry. But anyway, I really hate learning games, but I have to say I'm always happy that I did, which is why I continue putting up myself through the torture of learning them. But definitely, if it was up to me, reading 20 pages of rulebook to figure out how to play something, probably I would not play anything. So thank you, Harry.
You're welcome, Lily.
He meant 4 games.
All right, cool. So those are the 5 games that 4 of them are new for me too. Castles of Burgundy I've been playing for some time now, but all 5 of them were new to Lily. And now we're going to be talking about some of the upcoming games that we're going to be playing soon. So really what's going to happen is I'm going to give a rapid fire description. These are games, as a matter of fact, all 5 of these are games that I have not played. I've only read the rule book for 1 of them. So they're going to be new to me as well. I'm going to give a rapid fire description from what I know about these games. Again, I've not read the rule books for most of them, but I know a little bit. And Lily's going to tell us which 1 or 2 games stand out most for her or that excite her most that she's anticipating. So the first one is the mega hit popular Azul, which is very much an abstract game, but it's very colorful, very beautiful, which I'm not a huge fan of abstract, but this makes me think I have a good chance of it. And I looked into the rulebook. Actually, this is one of 2 games I've actually read the rulebook. And it sounds very intriguing. You know, there's a drafting of these different tiles, and you got to draft them from one of these little circular discs and then place them all on one row. There's a lot of spatial management to this game and optimizing how you transfer, you know, tiles from this one column over here to like your grid, which is where you actually score them for. You got to like get them from this little side of your board eventually to this side of the board. And again, it's very logical and methodical how you even draft the tiles, how you place them, and then how you transfer them over to your main grid for final score. So that's Azul, Spiel des Jahres winner a couple years ago. So mega popular, and they even have 2 other spin-offs.
Yeah, Azul Summer.
Azul Summer, something Summer, and
anyway,
yeah.
I did watch somebody else's videos about it.
So the next game is, and this one I'm excited. Lily and I have watched the series. We've watched the sequel series. This is a classic worker placement game, one of the earliest worker placement games, Pillars of the Earth, with the Pillars of the Earth theme behind it, the building of the cathedral and all that stuff that's going on. Lily and I, again, we watched the entire Pillars of the Earth series. We haven't read the book, but we watched the series. Again, this is one of the first
look at that artwork.
Worker placement games. Beautiful artwork by renowned board game artist Michael Menzel. Lots of people consider this to be the most beautiful board in the industry, and this is over 10 years old. So
let's show it to them.
And it still holds the test of time. Amazing, beautiful board.
Very nice.
So worker placement, Lily and I enjoy worker placement. The theme is something we enjoy, and the designer Michael Renek and Stefan Sadler are the designers of Cuba, which is one of my favorite games. Lily likes it too, not as much as me, and she's from Cuba, but one of our favorite games, Cuba, and this is the same designers, and again, worker placement and with the Pillars of the Earth theme. Then we have, we happen to have Cuba on the table, right? That wasn't even planned. All right, and then we have Robinson Crusoe, and this is a cooperative game, and I like to throw cooperative games to the table, and I tell Lily these are team building exercises
good for a marriage,
because we need to work on our team building. And this is basically Robinson Crusoe themed board game, cooperative game where people are working together to accomplish different missions. I think this game comes with like 5 or 6 different missions. There's expansions that come with more missions. This game is notorious for being cutthroat and ruthless, and for the players having a very low winning percentage. Lily usually is not a big fan of cooperative games, which she cannot win often. So I'm curious to see if, for whatever reason, she could respect the mechanisms and the gameplay enough to overcome that disdain. Also, mechanically, this game, one of the things it includes is worker placement. So maybe her love for worker placement might cancel out her hatred for cutthroat cooperative games.
Highly unlikely.
And then another cooperative game, Pandemic the Cure, which is a spin-off, shorter version of Pandemic, dice version of Pandemic.
For COVID-19, people.
Yes, very relevant. And basically, it
thing.
abstracts the map of the globe. The globe is no longer a board with all the map spaces. It's just 6 discs or so that represent the different continents. And you're rolling these dice and you're doing all these different things. But I've read the rule book. I find that it has some really neat, interesting ways of re-implementing Pandemic, and at the same time, again, making it a shorter experience. Because Pandemic can end in 30 minutes, but if it does, it probably went wrong and you probably lost, right? So you're not going to be too happy for it. This game can end in 30 minutes with a win. So that sounds really, really cool. And then finally,
I like to win.
The last game, and the game that I probably know the
Yeah.
least about, but at the same time, I don't need to know that much about. Glass Road by Uwe Rosenberg. And this game is really cool. It has some dials here, so I personally have been a fan of the dials. It looks like a lot of Uwe Rosenberg's stuff that he's known for: resource management, resource conversion, victory points. What's interesting about this game is that I've heard that this has perhaps his best weight to time ratio of any game he's designed. In other words, for how much meat and tough decisions and possible strategies that his game provides, it doesn't occupy as much time. I think it's about 20 minutes per player. Like usually, even Agricola, it's probably like 40 minutes per player. And it's an amazing game. And I would say Le Havre is probably even longer than that. And Aura Labor, if we played a fuller version of it, even after we've got an experience, will probably be longer than that. 20 minutes per play. So we're talking about a 40-minute game of Uwe Rosenberg that's not going to feel like Bonanza. You know what I mean? It's still going to feel like some of these heavier, meatier, crunchier games of his.
Don't be hating on Bonanza.
No, I get it. Bonanza's okay. It's good for what it is.
It's not a filler game.
It's good for what it is. It's not a filler game. That's the problem. It's too light to not be a filler. But the point is, this game is a 40-minute game with lots of crunchy decisions. So, based on those brief and probably imperfect descriptions of the games, which 1 or 2 games would you say stand out the most to you?
1 or 2?
Yeah, 1 or 2. You could use 2 or...
I would say it's like a 3.
Oh, so you're not giving this 1 or 2. You want to give it an honorable mention.
I want to give it an honorable mention because anything Uwe Rosenberg will always get an honorable
Is it the theme that keeps it from being 1 or 2? Because you obviously wanted to grab it. You didn't have to grab it at all. You could have just moved on. You wanted to grab it for whatever reason.
Not a fan of... I don't know what to think about the glass blowing thing.
Glass Road?
Yeah. I don't know what to think of that.
Okay, thematically there's a disconnect.
Thematically it's a disconnect, but that doesn't mean anything. The game may be...
Okay.
Definitely looking forward to Azul.
Okay.
Just because I was saying that I recently watched a Instagram video. It's like a fast forward video that people do of an unboxing of Azul versus the Azul Summer, which I thought was like so cool. I was just like, why are we playing? It's May already. Like, why are we playing this already? So anyway, I think we should play this first.
Okay, we will.
And
number 2, if there is. If not, if this is the only game that really catches your fancy, that's fine.
I'm gonna say Pillars of the Earth.
Okay.
Because thematically I connected. I watched Pillars of the Earth.
How do you feel about
9-10 years ago, and then we rewatched it in the last couple months as well.
Yeah.
Pillars of the Earth would be the second one as well.
Would you say that the worker placement and the designer of the games contribute to it at all? The fact that you're familiar with Michael Rieneck from Cuba, and that worker placement is a mechanism that you've been comfortable with?
Definitely. The fact that it's a beautiful game, and the fact that I'm really attracted to the actual game. So I'm not really looking forward to Robinson Crusoe.
Well, we don't have to talk about the ones you're not looking forward to. We just wanted to see which ones you are looking forward to.
Parentheses, like Lord of the Rings.
You're gonna go through that.
One word, Lord of the Rings. I will make a video at some point about the games that I have yet to beat.
All right. And now we're going to talk about some upcoming purchases, some games of interest that we do not currently own and haven't played, but are on my wish list, and I'm looking into purchasing them. I'm going to just mention the games, give a brief description, and Lily's just going to basically tell us if it's a thumbs up, if it's Lily approved, or if it's not, okay? So the first game that I have here is Vinhos. And Vinhos is a game designed by Vital Lacerda, a Portuguese designer, who I have not played or owned any of his games yet, but I've been intrigued by his games for a long time. Vinhos is basically a wine making, wine production, wine selling, business economical game. And it's actually renowned, or all of Vidal Lacerda's games are renowned for being some of the heaviest Euro style games in the market. Even heavier than some of the heavier games that we've played, or at least around that same level. So there is that big, majestic Euro style game with a wine making, wine production, business simulation theme. So from that brief description, what would you say?
I like it. I like any Euro style games, and I like anything Portuguese because I was born, or I live above Portugal.
Well, Portugal is not related to the game design at all. He just happens to be from Portugal.
And vinhos means wine in Portuguese, so.
Yeah.
Vinhos
so sounds intriguing. Okay.
May pair well with a wine that we don't have.
Okay. Some of the other purchases. Cadam juice. Some of the other purchases that are upcoming are some expansions for Power Grid, one of my favorite games. Lily used to have it as one of her favorite games. I don't know if she does anymore because of her lack of success against me. But I'm looking into getting one expansion that's called the Power Plants expansion. And basically, it adds a new stash of power plants. So if you ever get bored of like the old power plants that the game comes with for whatever reason, and you're like, no, we become so used to it, we know how to manipulate it.
Can you buy them from the, or is it only for?
No, you interchange. You either use one deck or the other, I think.
Okay, I would like that.
But basically, it would be for like if you feel like your opponents mapped out their entire turn and they figured out all those power plants and how to capitalize so much that you're like, you know what, let's throw a little mix into this to make it a little bit fresh, right? So there is that. And I'm looking into getting another map, even though we haven't played our maps. But I know that I've mentioned before, Lily loves traveling and I love geography. So can we really ever have enough maps?
How about we open the ones we have?
Nah.
On our shelf of shame.
Okay. If they ever go out of print, that's on you.
What kind of maps are there?
There's like Central Europe. I own a couple that I think you approve, the ones I already own.
All right, we can get the
Central Europe is one that I don't own.
Yeah. So
okay. Also Australia. They have Australia.
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
My sister's moving to Hungary coming up next, and we probably will use. That will be useful. I'm sure we'll visit her at some point. Okay. Central Europe. And then, and the plants, the power plants.
Okay, power plants definitely. That sounds like a good one. And then the last thing is a couple two Tokaido expansions.
Ooh.
That basically, again, don't quote me, but it sounds like it adds more of the good stuff and maybe a few minor tweaks, because Tokaido's already a very simple enough game as it is. So I don't know how many tweaks it really adds. It doesn't sound like it adds too many tweaks, but it adds a lot, more of the different cards you can get.
Other game, or it's just
no. It's still it's like more expansion. Cards. Yeah, it's an expansion for Tokaido. It adds more cards that do different things, I guess, and maybe a few other tweaks.
It makes me feel happy.
Okay,
so.
I think so too, because I really like Tokaido, but at the same time, I could see its ceiling as far as replayability is concerned. So I like it a lot, and it's a great Zen game to play when you want to play something that feels a little bit, more significant than your typical filler, but requires more or less the same brain power as your typical filler. So I like the idea of having a few more cards for variety so that the game doesn't get old quick. So you give it a thumbs up.
I do give it a thumbs up. Tokaido, I love Tokaido.
Okay, great.
Japan.
Awesome. And that's it. That was it. Those were our 3 segments for today. Our first ever episode, the inaugural episode of Board Games of the Bride. Here's the bride. Thank you so much for joining us here at When Harry Met Board Games. Thank you so much for joining us here at the Board Games of the Bride inauguration. Thank you so much for taking out some time, guys. Please comment down below. Tell us how you feel about some of the games that we played recently, about some of the upcoming games we're going to play, about some of the purchases that we're looking into making, and maybe some things that we failed to mention. Hit those comments down below. Hit the like button. Subscribe to our channel for more relatable content. And we'll catch you next time.
Give us ideas, too.
And give us ideas. Please give us ideas. This is Harry from What Happened at Board Games. All right. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.